All right, welcome everybody to the Travel Industry Hub. I'm Richard Taylor. I'm Josh Thorpe, and I'm introducing myself for some crazy reason because Richard asked me to do it, and because he's just trying to look like me today and put the same clothes on and the same glasses and the same haircut, but hasn't managed to grow a beard overnight, unfortunately.
I couldn't if I wanted to. Hello, everyone. I'm Richard Taylor, not Josh Thorpe. This isn't very professional at all. So we are here today because I've got to get rid of these glasses. Sorry, I don't really need them. Because I wanted to interview Josh, who does his own travel webinar. So I got this message several weeks back now, saying, "Hey, this is Guy. He's bald and he's doing travel industry webinars." And I'm saying, I'm that guy. No, it's not. There's another one. And this is the guy who, if you haven't seen him, he's been doing these for, how long have you been doing these for now, mate?
I think 17th of April was our first one. I only remember that because it's my anniversary that day. So it's the one day of the year that I do remember stuff.
And do you want to tell us how people can go and find them?
So you can...
So I've muted Josh at this point. I'm not telling you how to go and get to his no, you're back. Go on. So you started your Facebook group, didn't you?
Yeah, we started the Facebook group, I guess, originally. And, it was really a survival group. It was a place for all those bits and pieces that we all needed to know about in the early stages around job seeker, possible job keeper, and do I get my super, do I not? What's this all about? What's happening around me? And just a place to have some answers, hopefully, and try to remove a little bit of the noise that was out there in the big wide world over that chaotic few weeks. That Facebook group grew, pretty rapidly, pretty quickly. And after a few weeks of kind of playing in that survival mode, we just realized that we kind of knew where we were. Most people kind of knew, am I, job seeker, job keeper? Am I still working? Am I not? Not everyone had been stood down that possibly was, going to be eventually, but people kind of had an idea of where they sat. And that stuff kind of played along in the background still, but really we realized that there was a need for sort of taking it in another direction. And the group turned into a more of a strategic tips, advice. What are you doing at the moment? What are the suppliers doing at the moment? How can we get some information out to the agents to get them aware of what they could be doing right now and kind of moving into the future? An example I gave to somebody was that those first few weeks were kind of like the off season, where you can go to Bali, you can get drunk, you can stay in bed, all of those things that, aren't really impacting too much. You're just kind of surviving in those first few weeks. And then it kind of turned into probably a little bit more of a pre-season where there was a little bit of work that needed to be done. We needed to get out of bed and actually go and do a few things. So then, it turned into, I guess, what you see now in one shape or form, is these, what I like to call Zoomcasts. You do webinars, I do Zoomcasts, just so we got that clear. So we got the suppliers on board. We engaged with some business coaches, some life coaches, some money coaches, and just wanted to give a rounded view of how people were coping through this time and some advice and tips and ideas on how people could be getting ready for the other side or preparing for the new industry as we decided to call it.
Good on you. So that group grew quite quickly. It's got over 2,000 members now.
2,559, I think, 3 minutes ago. And it's growing. It's growing rapidly. I think anything that once it gets to a certain size, it grows even quicker and faster because 2 turns into 4, turns into 8, turns into 16, very quickly. So,
is there a because there's several groups around, isn't there? Does yours differentiate in any particular way?
Well, ours is obviously the best, But
look later. Carry on.
But very early on, I was very aware that there was a lot of groups out there, and I think even when I posted the idea of the group on my own personal page, saying, "Hey, everybody, yes, there is another group. If you would like to come and join, we're doing some stuff." Sure. We really tried to make sure that the group was very, very, very sort of going in the same direction all of the time and removing a lot of the noise. it's great to see, the inspirational posts and the funny memes and the videos and all of those things that are happening. And that happens in the Facebook world. Anyway, we didn't feel like, there was a need to necessarily do more of that. So I took control of all of the posts, and I still do, not in any sort of power trip way. Just I really want to make sure that I know what's being posted and not too much noise is going in there. And if it doesn't support a travel agent, doesn't help a travel agent, then it's not for our group, and it doesn't need to be there. So I say we differentiate ourselves from some of those other groups, some of those larger groups in that way, is that, it's purely based on and supporting agents, and we just don't really need it or allow anything else in there that doesn't do that.
Mm. You've no doubt had messages from, because you're specifically focused mostly on travel agent community, aren't you?
Yep.
Which is going through an enormous upheaval. As you know, we are more industry wide, and including tourism as well. But so you're no doubt hearing stories, individual stories from people that are probably quite difficult to deal with, because it affects you as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess, very early on though, I did realize, or, from my own personal opinion, that I felt like probably the least affected person in the travel industry. Yes, I was stood down, but my role that I had previously as a BDM, in the independent and mobile space was really to get people set up who wanted to transition from being an employee to an independent mobile, and also help some, small businesses, decide, that there may be a better platform for them to operate from. So, that role in itself, really just became null and void. Like, it just wasn't a role anymore. Nobody was going to be moving or changing or exploring new ideas or taking that leap through this process. So when I got stood down, it wasn't the end of the world, I guess, or, because I could see what was happening around me. I could see what my travel agent friends were going through. I could see what my supplier friends were going through. I could see what my leadership friends and middle management and upper management, all the people that play in all different areas, having to sand people down, having to have these tough conversations with a lot of people around them, or have customers, really angry with them, and all the chaos and the changes that were happening every day, every hour. Mm. So for me, I am having these conversations with a lot of people that are going through some really challenging times, and I guess I feel very, I guess, blessed in a way that for me it hasn't been that bad. So I guess that's what prompted me to want to start the group and help, because I felt like I was kind of standing around watching everything burn around me without, knowing that I could contribute in some way, shape or form. So having these individual conversations with people that are being really affected and having their livelihoods, really, really affected through this period, maybe because I'm not as deep or dark into it, or as heavily affected, I can kind of maybe bring some light to the situation, or just have a bit of a steady, a steady hand in the situation to help them just articulate their story and share that with everybody else, which, is the goal.
Sure. Good on you. So we did if anyone's just joining late, we did a pretty unconventional intro where I just before we went live, I went and put my blue shirt on and put my glasses on so that we resembled each other. But and joking aside, I neglected to really introduce you properly. And we've talked about the group that you set up, and we'll talk about the webinars that you're doing and where that goes to.
Zoomcast.
Yeah, so let's just do the basics. You were working for Travel Partners, correct? And then anyone else outside of the immediate travel industry, that is a network of mostly home-based agents, isn't it? And you're the BDM that does that and tries to talk people into joining that group.
Yep, pretty much in a nutshell.
Yeah, and can I ask you on that? The assumption is that will become an extremely popular way of working in the future. There's going to be a need for you, isn't there? Surely.
Well, yeah. And again, another thing that I guess, when you look across the support side of the industry, I feel very blessed in a way as well that, what I was doing previously is probably going to be a need for that role in the future. I think all independent and mobile platforms are going to become quite heavily inquired, with a lot of agents that are looking to to possibly stay in the game if their bricks and mortar business is closed, or they're unable to operate where they're operating before. So we know that 80% of travel agents in America, for instance, are mobile agents, and that happened to them probably 5 or 6, 7 years ago. So like we talk about a lot in this COVID period, it's escalating a lot of things that were probably going to happen at some point. It's just turned a 5-year plan into a 3-week plan, or whatever's happened. So the mobile independent space is definitely, you don't have to be a rocket science to notice that that's where things are going, and it's going to be a very noisy space, in the not too distant future.
Is everyone suitable for it?
No. I would say that pre-COVID, I would say no to just as many people as I said yes to. And I guess I've always been a big believer that, my own individual KPIs or incentives or whatever it is that I do in my role, I'd never let that get in the way of anybody else's brightness of future and making the right decision or giving them the right advice for them. And for some people, it just wasn't right for them. It may have been a bit of a Band-Aid fix, or they may have thought that they were ready, and maybe we talked them into having another 6 months, really getting themselves prepared for what it takes to move from being an employee to an independent contractor. So yeah, the example is, the agent that's sitting in that bricks and mortar business, let's call him Josh, because I don't want to offend anyone out there that may be the name that I normally use it as an example. But Josh is sitting in the corner of a bricks and mortar business. He's been there for 12 or 13 years. He takes lots of walk-in appointments. He's very well respected. He's got lots of clients. His email signature only has a landline on it. He treats his personal Facebook as that and doesn't have any, clients connecting, on there. Doesn't have a business page on Facebook. He's not on LinkedIn, doesn't play with Instagram. He's just happy being a really solid travel agent, in the corner of a bricks and mortar business with his repeat database, and he's been doing quite well enough, without needing to do too much more. He probably leaves at 5 o'clock on the dot every day, and
fairly lazy. This Josh guy,
he's a shocker. No, he's just found his pocket of what works for him, and that's fine. And the industry has allowed that for many years. And I'm sure everybody out there watching this would be nodding and saying, "Yeah, I either know that person, or I am that person, or I used to be that person," but they're still everywhere. And that person to leave that bricks and mortar business operating that way on a Friday and trying to start as a mobile independent agent on a Monday, is just not the smartest thing to be doing. It's not setting them up for success. It'll be a long road for that person to get ready for that. So whether that person's got it in them to create the right environment for themselves to be successful in a mobile and independent space, I mean, that's, we don't know. This could be what pushes people in that direction, to be able to figure out how that's going to work for them, because they didn't have to before, but now they do. But yeah, right now it's not necessarily ready for everybody, and it's going to be noisy. Mobile and independent agents, they play very heavily in the social media space. They do a lot of local interaction with their communities. They like to be members of golf clubs and yacht clubs and all of those things, and they don't want a lot of people around trying to do the same thing that they're doing. So if they've got their little pocket of the world, whether that's online or physically in their community, they don't want 7, 8, 9, 12, 15 more mobile agents starting to play in that space as well. So that's where it could get really noisy. And is there enough customers in the new travel industry to support all of them? Maybe not. I don't know the answers to all of that.
Clearly no at the beginning.
And you go to, commission only income. How long can you survive on that yourself? Until that income starts to come in. And there's a lot of chatter around, commissions being paid after travel as being a standard, in the industry moving forward. So even if you do see that, the trickle of inquiry for 2021 and onwards, you may not be looking at income producing bookings until, mid next year or even later. So when you move from being an employee, and maybe you're on JobKeeper or whatnot, how long can you survive with doing travel on the side, as possibly your not main source of income, until you can start to see some of that trickle through and become a viable business or viable small business that can be your main source of income. You know, that's
you clearly tell it like it is.
Yeah, look, I probably could tell it even more like it is, you know, and I probably have had those deeper, darker conversations off camera with more people,
Mm.
because you know, no one really knows the answers of what all this is going to look like, but I think there's more people unaware of how bad this possibly could get than they are aware. And it's great because I'm optimistic as well. I'm a very above the line person generally in my life. But I guess I'm having enough conversations to know that, you know, there's still a long way to go. And it's not as simple as what some people may think it will be to reboot and kickstart on the other side of this.
That leads us through to, we'll talk about Travel Edjo, because Travel Edjo is, well, you tell me about a Travel Edjo. Let's move into that now, actually.
Well,
I do want to cover how the webinars led into it, but let's tell us about that first.
Well, I've always believed in self-directed learning. You know, it's been something that I've always preached to anybody that would listen from my early days of being a travel agent and a team leader and you know, and a coach and area leader and all those things. So self-directed learning, I think, is a key part of agents becoming as good as they can be. I was at every event, breakfast, lunch, nighttime, film night, you know, every travel industry event, there was an opportunity to learn more about up and coming product or new products. So I always believed in that, and I guess I led by example with that. So, you know, moving forward into this period and into this group, I guess it just kind of evolved into a place where something that I'd always believed in, you know, and I felt like there was a need, needed to be created. And, you know, I guess I, like everybody, haven't really had the time to do the thing that you've always thought that you wanted to do until this period of time was forced upon us. This is kind of what we preach in a lot of our Zoom casts every day is, you know, what are you up to at the moment? In the downtime, what have you found? You know, what hobby have you found? Are you doing some online training or upskilling, or are you doing a diploma or whatever? And I guess for me, this is my downtime project, which is something that I've always wanted to do. And it very well sits in line with the group and where the group evolved. And I guess the group evolved to where it evolved to, because that's what I believed in. And this is what I believe in, to help the agents. So if I'm running a group, you know, whatever's in the back of here is only going to come forward to the front of it. I'm not going to run a group around something that I don't necessarily believe in. So for the website to come out of it and the concept of the website to come out of it, you know, it organically happened because that's what I believe in, and that's the values that I hold. And I know that travel agents, you know, really need to focus on you know, getting as much knowledge and upskilling as they possibly can, because we live in a world of Google, and you know, the customers can know a little bit about everything. You know, an expert agent will know a lot about a small number of things, or, you know, a pocket of the industry that they really believe in. So that's kind of where that came from and evolved. We got some suppliers on board, very bare bones. You know, we don't want to be selling anything to anybody at the moment. No one's got any money, and that's okay. We don't either. So we've made this website,
yeah.
as you know. So we've made this website off the you know, the smell of an oily rag, you know, and you know, just created it, make it look as pretty as possible, and really just created a real simple platform where we could put every single supplier that wanted to join the party, and their travel agent platform, their resource center, their training. I mean, some suppliers don't even have that yet, and they're all working towards it. Everyone's working on something, which is great. So we've even put in drop boxes of resources and PDFs and tiles and all sorts of things. Just a really simple place where agents can go and find all of that information in one place. And we've got goals of how that could evolve, and the benefit of having, you know, all of that information in one place, and how we could then best serve, you know, the agents in the industry moving forward. But at this stage, it really is just a really easy platform for everybody to use to find all that information that's at their fingertips, I guess.
Sure. Just checking the comments. No comments. No one really likes you. So that's
fair enough.
No, we've got about 30 on this Zoom call. Craig Farrell from Ponant says, great chat, gentlemen.
Thanks, Craig.
It's just come through. So good on you, Craig. Now, if you are late, I'm joined by the second best host of webinars in the industry. His name is Josh Thorpe. So, I mean, yours are very different. So I got told about you, and I had a quick look. Actually, no, I heard you were starting at the beginning, and I dropped you a line, didn't I, ages ago?
Yep. Yep.
And then we went our separate ways, and I came back to you the other day because I just knew you're the only person in Australia who's going through what I am in terms of setting up these webinars, and I know how awkward they are to set up. So I just I reached out to you for solidarity, but I was kind of hoping you're a bit of a dickhead, to be honest with you, so that it would make me feel better about myself. And I called you up, and we spoke, and it turns out he's not a dickhead after all, and that's why he's here today. But and some of the things you talked about, you can still be a dickhead if you want to afterwards. Sorry, I should stop swearing, really. But a lot of the stuff you said about the Travel Edjo blends into the whole agent of the future thing. You talked about getting that set up. First of all, you mentioned we. Is there a we, or you just refer to yourself as we, royal we? Is it?
There is a we as far as the technical side of we. I do have a business partner who's a project manager by trade and looks after a very well-known big company in Australia in a sense in his day job, and does my stuff that I need him to do at night time and on the side, and when he can't be bothered doing his day job. He starts to play with our stuff. So that's from the we. And look, I guess the Facebook group is very much me. He doesn't get involved in that. And I just say we because I see the group as a group for the agents, because I'm that guy, I'm for the people, by the people. So I say we.
We also love the people here at the Travel Industry Hub.
Yeah, that's not what I heard, but yeah. So the we comes from that, and I think it's the Aussie way. You wouldn't know with the accent you've got, but it's the Aussie way to not big note yourself or you just kind of it's easier to say we than to say I. But as far as the Facebook's concerned, I run all of that, and that's all me. As far as the website's concerned and the technical stuff, I've got no idea what I'm doing with that stuff. So I needed to bring somebody into the game.
Did it all evolve as you came through? So you've got a few suppliers on board. They're coming. They're doing their webinars. They're talking about. I mean, we're doing one a week at the minute. Yeah. And it was an idea at the beginning. Should we do more with suppliers? Maybe we will. But ours are more I like the idea of keeping people busy and in a job and keeping them on their toes. Yours have a purpose. So that you're doing one after the other, and I've seen. Let's actually, anyone who's not aware of it, the link to that. How would they find that?
So you can come to the Facebook group, and they're all on there. If not, traveledjo.com.
Yeah, let's spell Edjo for everyone. I want to ask you about that.
Edjo, EDJO.
Yeah, most Australian name ever for a product.
So every I guess for me, it's kind of letting people know where we're going for the future, and hopefully where we're going for the future of the group, which, eventually will create a platform which will allow travel agents to access self-for-meals, educationals, travel industry discounts, and so forth, in line with the products that they train and become loyal to and become well versed in. So the Edjo concept is every travel agent will tell you that's when they come back from an educational trip. They don't say I went on an educational. They say I went on an Edjo. We met on an Edjo. That was that Edjo we went on, or that Edjo. So it's, again, very Aussie. Chuck and O on the end of
trouble spreading that internationally, my friend. Just so you know.
I will have trouble with that, and thanks. I've just now ruined my chances of going global, but. Thanks for bringing that up. But yeah, look, and that was just kind of what we came up with at the start. It was pretty bare bones, as I said. I haven't had that traveledjo.com idea sitting around, since 2007, waiting to pull the trigger. It was just what we came up with at the time. And so traveledjo.com, there's a vlog section on there. You can just click on that and see everything that we've loaded. I think we've loaded probably 95% of the Zoomcasts that we've been doing, or webinars we've been doing, because there's a few that probably don't need to be customer facing, and probably better for the private group that we have. But generally,
you mean, I know what that means. You didn't like the guests. You want to hide
didn't like them. There was no value added. No, it was. Sometimes we've done one with a rep or a supplier who has talked very heavily around the product, what's happening with the product, what's happening in the future, and then we may have had the MD or the national sales manager or founder of that business on at a later stage. We talk to them more about their own personal you know, views and so forth, as opposed to the product. So probably not as valuable to the website. But yeah, so they're all on there, and you know, very easily accessible for everybody. I don't think you even have to sign up to watch the vlogs. But to get access to the education page, you just have to pop an email address in there, and you get in there pretty easily.
Is that kind of smoke and or must be smoke and mirrors at the minute? I looked at your website before, and you know, you sign up and then you find out the stuff. That's obviously because you're building all that garb in the background, aren't you?
Yeah, look, no one, you know, is oblivious to the concept of business these days in regards to data and all of those things. You know, we're not mining people's data. We're not going to follow them around the website.
I've heard.
Not yet. You know, I don't even know what cookies are, to be honest. So I don't even know what they do, except for the ones that I've been eating too much of during this period. But look, we know to scale it up and scale the website up, to actually provide more value to the agents, we need as many agents on board as possible. So by signing up, we say we've got, you know, 45 billion email addresses, as we're currently sitting at about 44 billion. Once we've got all of those email addresses on there, and then that way we can go to a supplier and say, hey, we want some, you know, better travel industry discounts or above industry discounts for these agents that are all going to do your online training. We'll help them certify it. We'll help them create the modules and make it really simple and easy for them, especially some of those smaller suppliers that maybe don't already have their own academies and those sorts of things already. You know, instead of them going off and spending thousands of dollars trying to create that, you know, we may be able to provide that platform for them. And you know, we'll do either. We'll play with the big players in their academies, and we'll play with the small players that don't have anything. But without the you know, the droves of agents on a platform like that, it's harder for us to be able to take that to those suppliers and say, hey, you know, we want some stuff. And if they turn around and say, you've got 11 people on your website, what do you really want from us? We're not going to be able to have that conversation. So I guess, you know, I'm happy to be open and honest about it, because that's really the way business works. If the industry or if the travel agents want what we're aiming to provide them, you know, then they need to kind of do us a little bit of a favor and come to the party in the early stages and join up and give us their email address and let us EDM them every few days, and
personal email address, I should add.
Personal email address, and you know, and maybe, you know, partake in the odd, you know, travel quiz or learn some you know, new knowledge that they can pass on to their customers. You know, it's a pretty big investment that, you know, we're asking for people to do. A 5-minute knowledge quiz and sign up, you know, with their email. However, I get it. We're all signed up to way too much stuff. But the more agents we can get on board, the more we can actually turn the platform into something that can serve them better, which is, from what we understand, a bit of a gap in the market that you know, and the feedback that we're getting from agents is that I'm so glad that this is now a thing. Well, that's great that it's now a thing. It's going to be even a better thing, you know, if you and your friends can come to the party a little bit more, and we get a few more people on there as quick as possible, so that we can do what we need to. But at the same time, as you know, and we spoke about the other day, you know, there's not a lot of money around for anybody. And we're purposely and very consciously making sure that we're not selling anything, and we're not asking for money from anybody. This is all, as I said, run off the smell of an oily rag and a bit of a passion project. So, you know, until we feel that there's an opportunity for a business to be actually created, then it's a free for all for everybody until that stage. And we won't ask for any money until we can provide a service that's at least, you know, that value or more, you know, at some stage, you know.
Who will you eventually ask for money from?
Look, it's a tough concept. I think,
come on,
for me, it's travel agents. They're the ones that we want to get the most benefit out of it, and we want them to invest their own time, effort, energy, and money into it. So, you know, we'll always have a free platform. That's something that I'm not going to move on, as much as my business partner doesn't think that that's a good idea. But anything that's already out there in the market that's free anyway, we put it all in one spot. You know, that's not something I'm going to charge anybody for. What we will probably provide is a form of subscription service, you know, in some way, shape or form, where an agent can sign up to a program that could be a monthly amount of, you know, $10 a month, $20 a month, whatever it is. but we will provide them with, you know, landing pages, bios, certifications, and hopefully using that information that we create for them to actually, in the end, give them those incentives and those educationals and familials and above industry discounts and so forth, which should, you know, come back in droves of the money that they invested in their monthly subscription. You know, if someone's paying $10 a month for something for a year, and you create a program that's good enough, then, you know, you're going to give them more than $120 worth of travel industry discounts, and, you know, you get one for mil, and you're way in front anyway. So that's kind of the business side of things that, you know, if and when things go in the right direction, we see that becoming an actual product that you can take to market and can provide a huge benefit to the industry and to the agents out there.
What if I turn up with $250,000 and say, I want to invest in your business, Josh, I like it, blah, blah, blah. However, I want to get a return on my investment, and I want to, you know, I want it to scale, et cetera, et cetera. It's going to compromise the values, isn't it? I mean, and a part of the conditions of doing that are that I screw the suppliers, or I up that's potentially a problem there in the long, if things continue in the long run. No?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think anybody that knows me knows that I'm not somebody that likes to play in that space or you know, it heeds to that type of concept. I'm very purposeful in what I do, and you know, I believe.
Play devil's advocate, by the way. I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not, and that's fine, because it's something I've thought about as well.
Yeah.
But, you know, if and when this goes in this direction, and it could, and it may not, you know, it may all fall in a heap. But if it does get to a point where it becomes a business, and someone says, "Hey, that's a really good idea. We should jump on board with that," I don't think we'll waver from the concept of being a free platform, having a small subscription service that provides way more value than what they're paying up front. We may increase a premium version of it. We might include some coaching or some other stuff that's, you know, that they're willing to pay more for, but we're going to have to provide more service for it. It's kind of like I want to be giving way more out than getting in, you know, but for it to actually be anything and to actually be able to serve people, you know, we're going to need some money at some point off somebody, you know, otherwise we won't be able to do it. It's kind of like a charity, you know. Some of those big charities, you know, they have real workers that are being paid real wages to be there, you know, and the reason why they do that is because if everyone's on volunteer, at some point they just stop.
Yeah.
And you lose the good people who can actually, if you pay them a wage to be part of that program, will actually in turn bring way more money into the charity, or way more value. So it's not a bad thing to pay somebody who's working for a charity, because if they're really great at what they do and they can provide a great service, then, you know, you may pay them X, but you're going to get this. So for me, I kind of see that as a similar concept. Is you know, if the business goes in the direction that it does, then we'll make some money out of it. But I guarantee you that we will give you more value to the industry and to the people involved with it than we would ever be making. And we, you know, as soon as it tipped over the scales of that, as soon as it went too far, I think I'd feel it pretty quickly. And it just, you know, especially in this situation, especially as we're going through all this, like for me, I see anything on you know, social media or anywhere that's kind of trying to sell anything at the moment. You know, I'm sure agents are even feeling that at the moment, where they feel a little bit cringy about saying, "Hey, come and book this," or "Here's a deal that's on." I spoke to a rep the other day that was about to do a certain period of time sale. I don't want to give away who that could have been, but there was a certain sale that went for a certain period of time, and even they felt really, you know, sort of anxious about, you know, promoting that or talking about it too much. So I guess I'm the same, and through this situation, we're not playing in that space. We're not even talking about that yet. We're getting ready so that can be a possibility.
Sure.
And if and when it does become a possibility, it'll always be, you don't deserve the money unless you can serve more than what you're getting paid for. So that's how I sit with that anyway.
So you heard it here first, folks. He's never going to charge anything, and it's going to be good of his heart. something I asked you on the phone the other day when I called you up for an argument was, what about the agent of the future? So, okay, you've got a certain set amount of travel agents that are out there now. There will be an exodus of some that's guaranteed, but in 5 years, 6, 7, 8 years, you know, when a young person's coming through, as I put it to you the other day, their parents are going to say to them, "Are you sure about going to work in that industry?" In a way that never happened before, right? So, how are we going to attract young people? I think what you're talking about and what you're hopefully putting together can aid that. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Of course,
Well,
you're going to say that, but you know, like there's something more that can be achieved than just turn up at the. You know all this yourself. You can talk through it in a minute, but I mean, I've worked around travel agencies before. You know, the young person turns up, they sit with the experienced person, they get a few tips, they know it's not good enough. It just isn't good enough in the future.
yeah. So we, as an industry, will have to evolve the way that a new agent is trained. A new agent becomes a new agent. You know, systems will have to be easier to use, and they'll have to be in line with how people are learning in 4 or 5 years' time. I think you're probably right in that time frame though, because I don't think that we'll need new agents for 4 or 5 years.
True.
You know, because anybody who doesn't make it back into the game after this will hopefully sit on the bench waiting for their number to be called again. Whether that's 12 months, 18 months down the track. But you can imagine if a bricks and mortar agency, or even an online agency or a mobile agency, puts out an ad, whatever website or platform that they do, and say, hey, we're busy enough now. Would you like to come back and be an agent? 2,000 people apply for that job. So for me, the days of bringing somebody who's just come back from their European gap trip, or living in London for a year, like I did 15 years ago, and Flight Centre sounds like a good job at the time. I just can't see how that can work on the other side of this, when we have such a pool of experienced agents that may also not even be able to be brought back into the game, and may have to go do something else in the meantime, or they may be a mobile agent, at night time, a side hustle, and maybe they'll pick up their new call center work or government job or whatever it is that they find in the interim. If and when agencies start to bring more people on, those guys are the ones that are going to be there waiting for it. So the learning, or the new certificate 3 or diploma or whatever it is that they offer these people these days to be a travel agent, for me, that's a number of years away before we even need to contemplate what that looks like and how we even train somebody. The industry will be different by then. So, for me, this platform, I couldn't even figure out how I could turn this platform into a way that I could train a brand new person off the street.
You've got a few years to think about it.
Yeah, we can start working on it.
A couple of comments. I'll just break you up for a bit. Tanil says, "Killing it, boys! Loving this chat." Alex says, "I love seeing another say it as they see it, innovator doing something positive to move the industry forward." Thank you for that, Alex. And I'm assuming that you're also pleased with what Josh is doing. Cassandra says, "Future planning. I love the concept." And Tina says, "Good that you're not asking for money, as we currently don't have any."
Yeah.
Craig Farrell is back, and he says, "Any innovation platform that adds to the knowledge and professionalism of our industry is a great thing. Cruise agents in particular have seen the value in investing into this for years." And that's nice. I like that. Thank you, Craig, because it does raise the question of whose toes are you treading on? Is there anyone you're going to upset with this? Or does it affect preferred agreements with the here, there, and everywhere, that sort of thing?
Could do.
Stuff them, yeah? Or
not about stuffing them. I think what we've seen here is that to deal with this challenging situation, a collective approach to the survival of it has been what's needed. And we've seen that across the board. Everybody's helping everyone out. No one's wearing a uniform at the moment. No one's under any banner, color, shape or form. So, to move through to the other side, a lot of that stuff just needs to not be part of the conversation. You know, I'm a big fan of Simon Sinek, and I'm sure people have seen that who've watched a lot of the stuff that we've been doing. And he talks about worthy rivals. You know, you need a worthy rival to make you better and to make you grow. So, you know, you find people that can't grow good beards that look a little bit like you, and you make them your worthy rival. But so,
Yeah.
so, you know, I really believe in that, and I think that competition is great. And I hate to see a monopoly. We all want to see Virgin back in the skies to make, you know, keep Qantas honest, and vice versa. So, you know, I believe in that, but I also believe that a collective approach is only going to be, you know, a good thing for everybody. So, you know, if anybody feels like I'm stepping on their toes or whatnot, then, you know, let's pick up the phone and have a chat and see how we can work together,
Like I did,
like you did.
yeah.
You know, for the good of everybody. You know, and look, Clear and everything that's been happening in the cruise industry has been great for so long, but everybody else hasn't been playing in that space, and there may be a different way to do that. And Clear, you know, may not be something that a lot of independent agents may be able to afford to be part of, or whatever that could look like moving forward without, you know, upsetting too many people. But, you know, for me, it's, so what? You know, if there's more stuff going around, I know that I'm not the only one that's even playing in this space. You know, there's others out there, and I've had a few moments where I've seen, you know, a post come up or something pop up on LinkedIn, and somebody's doing this and somebody else is doing this. I'm like, oh shit. You know, Travel Daily are doing something in a similar space. I'm like, oh, thanks, Bruce. You know, but whatever. You know, everyone just go for it. You know, we all work together collectively, and you know, whatever
Time to
happens,
argue is
happens.
later, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, we can punch on, you know, in a couple of years' time. But, you know, in the meantime, what's the worst that can happen is we all, you know, collectively work towards, you know, the other side.
So some of our VIP guests we've got today, and I call people who join the Zoom call the VIP guests because they get the better experience. So we've got Sonia Jones. She said earlier on that we're not saying anything because they're enraptured. She's got a question. Josh, do you think you would consider segmenting the suppliers further down the track if you want people to subscribe or pay for membership? For example, I work predominantly in the luxury space, so the suppliers I get value from are very different to what a shopfront retail newer consultant might need.
Absolutely. You know, we'll charge those people a lot more because once you put luxury in front of it, we know we can charge them more. But no, we'll segment it. We already have segmented the education platform already, just simply because we've got so many in there now. I think there's over 70 or something and climbing. So we've already got cruise and adventure and FIT and so forth. So it's easier to navigate. But yeah, absolutely. I think it's something we have talked about, you know, being that, you know, you may open up, you know, and might be better even to open up, you know, 20 or 25 suppliers from the platform and say, you know, as part of your subscription, you get to choose 25 suppliers and 25 only. And it's kind of almost like an inception. I know that you can only cope with 25, so I'm only giving you 25. And then I want you to become an absolute expert in those 25 suppliers. And that's how you're going to brand yourself. You're going to be the niche of the niche. You're going to be the world's best expedition cruise travel agent or adventure travel agent or walking and cycling or coach touring or whatever it is that you want to do. Because by giving, you know, 150 suppliers open to everybody, we may be doing exactly what we're against, which is trying to be something, a little bit of everything, you know, to everybody. So yeah, absolutely. That's part of the discussion. And
you mentioned to me about having badges, you know, and you referred to it once or twice. So let's just dig a little bit deeper into that. So someone's going to have earned that right to call themselves something, and it's an industry-wide certification type thing, or what?
Yeah, we see it as putting it back on the suppliers. Okay. So we let them decide what it means to be a certified expert in their product. So, you know, how do you get your, I'm up to date with my online modules of X supplier? We will work with them. Either they have a platform already, but on that platform, when you print out a certificate, it's very hard to put that certificate anywhere to show your customers how good you are if you don't have an office to put it up above you. You know, when you
we
walk
supply
in.
offices, by the way. We can give
Yeah.
you office space. Yeah.
So the concept of badging, it's not new, but what we would like to see is a bio landing page of some sort that we can create, and we're working on some templates for that at the moment, and we'll have some agents do some guinea pigging for us, where you can have a bio, and you can also have a very clear you know, section of that bio that says what that agent, you know, is you know, an expert in, or, you know, proficient in, or up to date in. And you know, that could be, you know, silver, gold, platinum. You know, they could get better badges if they've sold X amount of that product. They could get a higher badge if they've actually experienced that product. You know, someone who's actually been on a river cruise with that brand, they should be able to highlight that to their customers, and should be able to highlight that to the world, to say, hey, you want to know more about this? I've actually done it. You know, and you know, I think, because in the end, and I only spoke to a supplier this morning about this, is the supplier wants the right customer on their product too. You know, they don't want anyone turning up with their travel document and their voucher on the day of departure of a cruise or a tour or something, and quite clearly they're not the right passenger for them, because they're going to have the experience that they don't want. They're going to get bad reviews. They're going to blame the supplier, blame the agent. Everybody's going to be in trouble for it. But really, the product was great. It just wasn't the right product. It's like ordering a steak when you don't eat steak. You'd send it back and say it tastes disgusting, but it's just because you don't like steak. You shouldn't have ordered it. But we've got to make sure that people can help them, you know, marry that right product to the right customer. So for me, you know, eventually in phase 467 or whatever it could get to, hopefully we can get it to a point where we can actually start to help customers find these agents by using this information, using these badging and this data to say, hey, do you need a travel agent? Come to our website, put in some search stuff that you're looking for, and then it'll pop up all of those expert agents in those fields that have promoted themselves. They've done their certification, and we've helped them show the consumers that they're also, you know, passionate about that product, that they even went on it themselves, or they experienced education or something like that. So that's kind of, you know, very much towards the end game of where that looks like, or longer down the track. But absolutely, in the end, you know, if it all comes back to creating better travel agents, putting the right customer on the right product, everybody has a better experience. So, you know, that's about as basic as you can boil it all down to. And all of these little things that we're going to do, and all of these little gadgets and different websites and landing pages and bits and pieces and incentives and EDMs and everything, all of that all boils down to creating better agents and getting the right customer on the right product.
Nice way to finish, but we're not finishing. It was very good. I was good. I see you've done this before. I'm just going to go through some of these comments. So Diana Brooks says, create mentor programs to engage new people into the travel industry and make them accessible.
Yep.
Andrew Denishinsky says, if you start to worry about what your opposition is doing, then you take your eye off your own business developing into what you want it to become. About what your opposition is doing, that is, he says. And I'm just going to check these comments again, but of course I've stuffed that up. Sarah Arain says, 45 minutes of Josh ripping on Richard has been the highlight of my day. I wasn't aware I was behind. Anyway.
You should have put a counter in the top corner.
That's a good point. I was going to do a poll, one of those Zoom polls where you choose your favorite, and both answers are Richard, but I didn't do that. Mary Williams says, thanks for the new connection. And it's great to see the industry working together and sharing the expertise and the opportunities. Jade says, great to hear some honest opinions and realistic plans. Yeah, so that's all the ones I can see for the moment. Let's leave it there, I'd say. I think we should revisit you, because we actually have an interest in helping startups, and that's kind of you, isn't it? Really, especially with the software element to it.
I got told the other day that I was a startup, and I had no idea.
Yeah.
That's how oblivious I am to this stuff.
Yeah,
you know,
all these wanky words. Sorry, words now, like scaling and and Series A investment, all that sort of thing. Yeah, I'll send you a list.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to exploring all that, and hopefully I'll just get my good friend in the Wii to play with all that stuff, and I'll just sit out the front and do all the nice stuff.
Yeah, it's probably best.
But yeah, look, it's it's exciting, and look, and straight back to you as well. You're doing just as much good out there, if not more than what I'm doing as well. So, probably a bit more. Yeah, absolutely. So I'd like to see everybody, doing as much as they can moving forward. As I said this morning to a supplier, I said, whatever we can be doing right now to serve any part of the industry in any way, shape, or form to get it better for the other side, that's all we can do. It's about serving. It's about contributing. You see like Dennis, from Barnick and Cato, doing some stuff, above and beyond over in his space. There's lots of people out there doing more than they need to be doing, or just doing their job. So the more people that can contribute and to serve for all of us to have somewhere to play in on the other side of this, I'm up for it. So join the party. Good
on you. All right, folks, we're leaving it there. We'll revisit you soon. See how you're going. I just, on the final note, my thought was, like, there's all these beautiful people in our industry, and the two people who are on TV the most.
I always said that I'd head for radio, and definitely not for Zoom casting, but somehow I ended up on it.
All right. Well, thank you for your unhelpful comments, everyone, and some of the nice ones as well. We will be back again. There's loads of things on the rest of this week, much better than anything Josh has to offer. And if you'd like to know more about that, visit thetravelindustryhub.com. All right, cool.
Thanks, mate.
Okay, thanks. Nice talking. Bye.
See ya.